Put on your mental track shoes and run with me. This is the Pow Wow with Myra. Hello, everyone. Today's guest is Kevin Anderson, who is an HR leader. But what's your actual role? What's it called?
It's a talent operations leader. So HR adjacent, but not necessarily historic HR, like being rule, enforcers, people who are averse to fun. It's really and truly more about, optimizing talent, making sure that they're positioned for, the best opportunity to develop, to learn and to, add value to our clients and add value to their own lives.
So, who do you work directly with?
So I work with like consultants at a consulting firm.
Okay, okay. And so you actively looking basically for leaders and building leaders?
I think it's more so about building our team members, irrespective of whether they're leaders or not, right? So we have individuals who are individual contributors, and they are going to be individual contributors, for their entirety of their career with our firm, right? But there are some individuals who have a certain talent, desire, and also there's a need for them to kind of transition and take on more leadership responsibilities. And so when you have those team members, yeah, I do try to work with them, help develop them into the type of leaders that will benefit the organization, but also benefit themselves, and that they're learning some of the best practices on leadership, learning some of the best practices on growing their team, and also best practices for how to interact and maintain client relationships.
Okay, so what is the organization? What does it provide?
So yeah, we're an IT business and
Okay.
management consulting firm.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
very cool. Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It's cool.
Cuz so and you were previously you were in recruiting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can see how that kind of transitions
Yeah, no,
in
yeah.
a
There's a
way.
natural transition. Yeah, some of the people who I worked with starting off in staffing, they actually became sales account executives with other consulting firms, because there's sometimes staff augmentation where you're bringing in staff specifically for certain projects, and so there's recruitment adjacent like functions for like selling consulting services, just like it is for placing professionals with a firm through a staffing agency.
So before Kevin Anderson was this HR leader,
Hmm.
let's see what kind of built Kevin Anderson
Oh, what made Kevin the man I am today? Right?
today
For
so
better or
far.
worse, right?
We'll see. We'll find out.
For better or worse. Uh,
So like if you and I were friends in high school,
mhm.
like who were you in high school?
Oh God. There are so many different social groups and circles in high school, right? So you have the jocks, you have the nerds, you have the newspaper. What are they called? The crew that does like the school newspaper.
The the okay, them.
Yeah, whoever they are, right? The editorial board or whatever, right? So there are so many different clubs and whatnot in high school. I didn't belong to any of them, right? I
Mhm.
just kind of floated. I didn't socialize with any particular group more often than the other. So I hung out with black people. I hung out with white people. I hung out with Hispanics. I think it was more so whoever was most receptive to me, my personality on that given day. Um, in terms of like athletics, I tried to play football for a single season. So I was a super JV player. I was a junior on junior varsity, and they actually brought some freshmen up to the JV team, and those freshmen actually played over me. So there were
Mm.
several freshmen who were just more naturally talented. Like they were identified in early age, like they had that extra athletic ability that I didn't have, right? And so during my single year of high school football, I played behind a couple of freshmen, and I just decided, I wasn't going to be a cheerleader in pads, for my senior year, and so I quit. So I actually spent, most of my senior year working at Burger King as opposed to indulging in any sort of, high school activities. Oh yeah.
Really? Or even like clubs?
No, no clubs, no special interests. I mean, I really and truly just I was a Burger King employee who just so happened to be going to high school.
Did you have any goals at the time? So what inspired you to get a job or like or
Yeah.
where's your mindset at?
Oh yeah, no, we were just poor, you know. So being, a child of poverty, I just wanted, to make as much money as possible wherever I could. And, there was no requirement to, drive very far to go to Burger King. Burger King was right down the street from my house. So I could walk to Burger King, I could walk home from Burger King. They didn't have, any sort of like social, status that you needed to, work there, right? I mean, I didn't need to be, in with anyone. Like Burger King hired everybody, right? There was one shift, I think, where I was legitimately the only person on that shift who didn't have a felony. Everyone else had done time in jail. Now, what amount of time they had done in jail, yeah, that varied, but I was the only person who hadn't done any time in jail. So there was a little barrier to entry to Burger King. And so, yeah, I kind of just fit in there and just spent most of my time there.
What was your work ethic at the time?
Oh, it was nuts, nuts. I still have a framed copy of a paycheck from summer of 2001, I think it was, and I had 120 or 130 hours on a single 2 week paycheck. So, as a 17-year-old.
And going to school.
No, it was during the summer. So,
Oh, during
yeah,
summer.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
during the
okay,
summer. No, no,
okay.
during school. Yeah, I worked hard during school, and I would shut down.
Still though.
Still, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
130 hours. I get up at 5 a.m., open up the store, start serving, sausage croissantwiches, and I'd work all the way into the day making Whoppers. So,
Did they give you the responsibility at that early age to open up and start
yeah.
working?
Yeah, again, I mean, no low barriers to entry, at, Burger King. Now, there were, dedicated, morning managers, right? So, primarily, you have a store manager and an assistant manager. The plush hours are, the morning shifts, right? So, when you're working fast food, you're working and angling your way to position yourself to be on the morning shift, right? That's the A team. The night shift, that's the B team, right? So, if you ever go and you want to just eat fast food, I don't know if you eat fast food, you're going to
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
best service during the morning shift because that's the A team normally.
Mm.
People are working to be on the morning shift. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
inside. That's game from the inside.
Yeah. Okay. So what motivate what would drive you every morning to get up at 5 and work hard every day?
Yeah, I mean, it was a number of things, right? Like, I realized, there was an immediate return, on my investment, right? So if I
Mm.
worked, 60 hours in a 2 week period, I was going to get paid 60 hours.
Mm.
If I, put in, quality of work, they were going to give me more hours. So I
Mm.
think that there was a lot of, just immediate gratification, right? I knew that, I was going to get, an immediate return. It wasn't like with school. Again, I wasn't really, heavily invested in school because that all seemed long term, right? Like you learn, about, George Washington and, his, endeavors and the immediate return's not there. It's like, yeah, you learn something cool, but, there's no immediate benefit. But
Right.
Burger King, oh yeah, I'm getting paid money. So it just seemed to work. And plus they appreciated me. Like,
Mm.
um, you come in on a busy shift, right? If they call you in because, they're down a person and you walk into that restaurant, there's immediate, appreciation for you in that moment, right? And I'm a people pleaser. So, for me, it was always just, pleasing to know that someone was relying on me at such a young age too. And, I'm
Yeah.
able to come in and make them happy. So,
That is a big drive. I can definitely
yeah.
see that. Did you have any people you looked up to at the time? At the time?
I was gonna say, yeah, at the time, yeah, I mean, being forward, yeah, even though I wasn't excelling at sports, I still had a competitive streak. So, there was a guy who worked the Whopper board. So the Whopper board is where you make Whoppers at Burger King.
Okay.
So it's the same process every single time. Take a piece of meat off the broiler, 4 pickles, a taste of onion in every single bite, ketchup, 2 tomatoes. I could still make a Whopper, all these years later, right? But there was a guy named Quincy who was, really fast. I mean, like he could get Whoppers out the door, no problem, right? And so I looked up to Quincy at the time. I mean, I wanted to beat Quincy. I wanted to be, faster. You want that, appreciation, that esteem. And again, in the grand scheme of things, it's like who's the fastest, Whopper maker at Burger King? It doesn't seem like there's high stakes, but in that moment, at that time, that was who I looked up to. I wanted to be, faster than that guy. I wanted to make, Whoppers faster than Quincy, and that was, the area of competition. Like who's the fastest on the Whopper board?
Yeah, so you've had that competitive
Oh, yeah.
drive, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, even if I wasn't excelling in sports, there was a competitive drive there, right?
Yeah, was football the only sport you tried out?
Oh, no, I tried and failed in a number of athletic endeavors. In junior high, I actually tried out for the basketball team, and so I never played, organized basketball, so I could barely dribble, I could barely shoot, it was a fool's errand, right? But tried out, obviously didn't make the team, but they told me, "Hey, look, if you keep trying and working hard, you'll be able to, try out for, the freshman team going into ninth grade." And so I did. I busted my butt. I gave my best on C team, which no one gives their best on C team. We're not scrimmaging, the actual teams playing, right? Because in Texas, A teams and B teams actually play.
Mhm.
The C team, you just kind of silver to the side and do a bunch of extracurricular activities and just kind of try to stay out of trouble, right? But I gave it all every time they said, "Hey, run," I'd run, as fast as I could. They said, "Shoot," I'd shoot as hard as I could. And then at the end of the semester, they said, "Hey, look, if you want to go play freshman football, I mean basketball, you need to talk to the coach." And so I still remember going up to the coach. I was kind of nervous. I'm like, "Hey, look, coach, I was on the C team, but I put forth a lot of effort. I worked hard. I busted my butt." And he was like, "Being real, like, you're on the C team. Either you lack, the attitude or the athletics, to make it. But either one you're lacking. I mean, I don't have time to develop you." And like all these years later, I'm
Just
still
like
just
that?
just like that.
Stop.
Yeah.
Wait, you're in 8th grade
8th grade, going into
going
ninth
into
grade.
ninth grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that is so such like, if that's the way it went into your
Yeah.
brain, like, that is so harsh
Yeah.
for an 8th grader,
Yeah.
especially.
And was it real? Yeah, it was true. I mean, I was horrible, right? But at the same time, I mean, you think about coaching, developing, and what I like to do, and you think about the fact that this dude had no, inclination to do this in a town where basketball wasn't really even that big of a thing, right? It wasn't like we were a basketball powerhouse, but at the same time, he kind of figured, I have enough, talent to work with. I don't have time to work with, not even raw talent. Just I was trash. I was trash.
Wow.
Yeah, I was
The
trash.
still, like,
Yeah,
there's, like, because you talk about, like, personal even if he would've said, "Alright," just anything to not at least kinda crush you,
right.
like, "Well, give me some time to think about it," or anything.
No, very dismissive. It was, without even thinking about it. Still to this day, I mean, I know his name, and if I'm working out or if I'm like, pushing myself, in my daily job, and I'm like, I need to, give someone a middle finger. It's like I'm
Mhm.
gonna give that guy a middle finger. I'm not gonna
Hell
say his name,
yeah.
but like, that
Yeah.
guy, he gets a middle finger. Coach
Yeah.
Joe, you know who you
He
are.
he gets the
Yeah, oh
finger.
yeah, you get the finger. He gets the
But
finger.
now you use it as fuel
Oh
to
yeah.
drive you and push on everything else you do, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, I bring it up. I think about it from time to time, right?
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about missing the eighth grade, basketball team and, not making it to tryouts for ninth grade like every single day. I don't
Right,
wake up
right,
think
right.
like that's a sad story, right? That's not, my story is similar to that, right? I use other things to fuel me, but not that. Like,
Okay.
screw that guy. But no, there's other things that I use to kind of motivate me. Other, mishaps, other, rejections that kind of provide a little bit more fuel.
Okay, okay. So you graduate high school. Well, and I didn't ask, where did you grow up?
So I'm originally from Paris, Texas,
Okay.
and then I moved to Sherman, Texas when I was in the fourth grade. So
Okay.
I'm a native Texan my entire life.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful. So you graduate high school, and what's the plan for Kevin?
I mean, being real, I would have gladly continued just working at Burger King. Like I was completely content, right? I was a somebody there. And by the same token, I really didn't have aspirations just to be, you know, by myself, with a bunch of money. Like, there's some people who just want to make a bunch of money. With me, I really and truly, I wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted to find love. I was that cornball, right? And so, I only really and truly, I shouldn't say only, two of the reasons I went to college were, I wanted to be around, smart people. But two, I wanted to make enough money to where, I could get someone to, marry me, right? So I needed, finances before I could get some romance. So,
What about your what did you do with your athletic life, or did you maintain working out, or
Oh, yeah, without
yeah.
question. Yeah, so I continued to work out even in high school after I quit football. I was in weightlifting,
Mm.
senior high, and so, when I went to college, I continued to work out, continued to run, and so, my physical shape got to the point where, a lot of people thought I played ball in college, and I was like, "No, I never played ball. I'm just, just got it like that."
The
Yeah,
jeans.
yeah, 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 just no, I mean, no, but it's hard work, and, like, I was working out, and so it just kinda worked.
Okay, so you go to college, and are you seeking for love
Oh, yeah.
at the time?
Oh,
And
yeah.
how so where did that journey take you?
Oh, into a lot of endless, worthless holes. That's what it is. So, I went to college, thinking that I could impress women with my intellect, right? And just being, a nice, corny guy. Now, that might work at some colleges. I didn't go to, some, conservative, college. I went to Stephen F. Austin, right? So Stephen F. Austin is a party college. And so the nice girls, the not so nice girls, I mean, they all had a type and I was not their type. So I
You think
went,
so?
no, I know so. Like
What makes you say
a
that?
lot of awkward conversations, right? And
Okay.
I was also very strong still in my faith. So uh going to a party school and being so, overtly religious and green, like I
Mm.
just wasn't prepared. Like some people go to like a finishing school for academics,
Mhm.
after high school so that they can be academically prepared for college. I should have gone to a social school just to help me talk to women, help me, just, navigate through like, difficult situations. Because I was just unprepared. I was just too green. I didn't have a real view on human relationships, on, certain dynamics, I had no game at all.
Did you have anybody you could talk to? Did you talk to them?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like male
Like
peers,
advice, yeah, like male peers, and like, talk to them about, hey, these are the struggles I'm going through. What do you
yeah.
think?
I mean, yeah, but you gotta other dudes, they're trying to find their way in college also, right?
Hmm.
So, you get advice, hey, look, do this and say this. And really it's lies, right? Hey, tell her this, tell her that. If you do X, Y, and Z, she's gonna be in bed with you. But I didn't want to, just be in bed with somebody. I wanted to get married.
Hmm.
And so I always thought I'd be, finding my college sweetheart and we'd be married at 23, 24. And we'd all be good. But no, I mean, I went through college and I don't even think I felt, even comfortable like approaching certain women until like my senior year. And by that point, I was super broke. So, yeah, it just did not pop off the way I thought
Mm.
graduating from high school.
Okay, what would you say your biggest lesson in college was? And it doesn't have to be like with seeking for help, but just overall as a
Ooh.
student.
Oh, as a student.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. Like as a student, finding his way, you go into it with
yeah.
an expectation. You kind of, didn't find what you thought you were gonna find. Now
Yeah.
you're a senior, you're broke. So what was your biggest lesson? I'm sure there was many.
There's a lot of lessons I learned from college. College is an interesting experience. I don't advise everyone going to college because I think it can also be a waste of money, right? But I think my biggest, regret, I'm not going to say necessarily a lesson, I didn't go to class a lot. Like, so for I was at Burger King. I was working at Burger King in college also, and so I was essentially a Burger King employee who just so happened to be going to college. And so I wish I'd actually gone to class more because I feel like that's where a lot of like social, connections are made.
Mm.
I wish I had done a better job of networking because I see a lot of people who went to school with me, and they're still connected, in like business pursuits, right?
Mhm.
And I don't get that same outreach because I wasn't working with people on that level. Now, some of my best friends to this day, my boys, they're still guys I met freshman year of college. And so I appreciate that. But yeah, I wish I had gone to class, just expanded my network just a little bit more.
Expanding your net. So, for any student
Oh yeah,
that's out there right now, it sounds like networking. It's going to
without
be
question.
one of, and whether they're in college really, or if they end up working for a corporation where they're exposed,
Hmm.
right, to multiple individuals, especially if they can talk to leaders.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Everyone says your network is your net worth, but I don't think that it means, or I think how it's interpreted is that, oh, I need to be connected with a bunch of, lawyers, doctors, CEOs, whatever the case may be. But that's not necessarily the truth. I think that you need to be connected with people who are willing to invest in you as much as you're willing to invest in them. And you're right.
Mm.
And you're looking for, reciprocity. So, I encourage people to like, expand outside, their, confined networks and really and truly find more people who are just going to be interested in investing in them and who you want to, pay it forward to also. You're going to invest in, you're going to invest in their lives, invest in, their pursuits, their goals as much also. That's, I think is a good lesson I learned from college.
Beautiful, beautiful. So then you graduate college, and what do you do next?
Well, I'll
Or
let you
do
take
you?
I'll let you take a guess. Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
graduated
yeah. Okay,
college.
okay.
So I graduated college. So I worked in Burger King in high school. I worked at Burger King in college. Guess where I went right after I graduated college?
Money smart.
No,
No,
I went
okay.
to Burger King.
Oh, stop!
I went back to Burger King.
Stop.
I went back to Burger King.
Okay.
So here I am. I graduate college with my bachelor's degree. And I actually still owed my school money. I still owed like 400 some odd dollars, but I was broke. I'd run out of like financial aid. I barely had money to put gas in my car to go home. So I had no job opportunities lined up. And so again, I always have the impression just make money, right?
Mm.
You need money to make money. And so I went back to the same Burger King that I worked at in high school back in Sherman, Texas, where I was a night manager in high school. And I actually went back to just be a cook. And I cleaned the broiler, everything at night. Like I was on the night shift. Remember, the A team is the morning shift. I went back. I was on the B team.
They
So
put you back
uh,
on the end.
I was on the B team, running. There was a manager when I went back, and he had a slight drinking problem, and he actually had me go to the convenience store and go and buy him beer. So here I am with my bachelor's degree, going and buying my night manager beers.
Stop.
And it's like I'm just walking over to the store. I'm like, man, this was not it. Like this, I took a wrong step somewhere, and I'm not sure where. But this is a low point. And hopefully I don't go any lower. But this is a low point.
So it was kind of a blessing that he sent you over to get some beer because it made you realize.
No, it was no blessing at all.
Yes, because
No.
is that the first time you realized like I made a misstep somewhere, like I shouldn't be here.
I think that would be the first time I was filling out the application to go back to Burger King. That's when I was like, man, I should have planned out, my exit from college a little bit more smoothly. But again, I was broke my senior year. And I
But did I get that right though? Like when you were on your way to get him beer, it's when you realized?
no, it was just reassurance.
Oh,
Yeah, just
reassurance.
like, this is further confirmation
Okay.
that, I've made some mistakes, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you right now could go back at
Mm,
that time and give yourself
mm.
advice, what would that be?
Ooh, you know, I'm really not sure what I could have done differently at that exact point, right? Because I'd already made my bed at that point. I had a horrible GPA, so I readily admit that. Um, I had, you know, a car that was breaking down on me. I was riding dirty. I had fake insurance. Like, so I remember actually a friend of mine had showed me how you can like take an insurance card and you can just kind of like scrub out the information and just
Yeah.
like so if you get pulled over, you have insurance. But if I had gotten into an accident, oh, I was done. I would have been financially ruined. So I had fake insurance. I had no, tags on my car, no money in the bank. And so I'm not sure what I could have done at that point, but I definitely should have planned a little bit more before that, right? Like earlier in my senior year, earlier in my career in college, I should have I was actually supposed to graduate early. I graduated high school with like 30 credit hours for
Mhm.
college, but I squandered it all because I just hated college. I didn't like going to class in college. Like I didn't like going to class in high school. I just had a certain aptitude, right? But had no desire really to be there.
Really?
Yeah,
So
no.
so I mean that's a long time. Those are a lot of mornings or
Hmm.
evenings to go to school and get what you need to get done to at least make it a passing grade, right? So
Yeah,
what what did I know at the beginning it was like okay, you wanted to kind of attract
yeah.
maybe your future wife. So when you were in the middle of it, did it change?
Yeah, and I don't want to come across too corny, right? Like, oh, the singular reason. Like, I'm just,
It was a
I mean,
strong
yeah, it was
reason.
a strong reason, right? It was in the back of my mind, right?
Right.
I need to prepare
It was a
myself to
big
become a
drive.
man, so I can, get a wife. But I wasn't just like, writing down in like some notebook, like,
Yes.
I hope today is the day that I learn something that's gonna, help me get my future wife. Definitely not that at all.
I understand. Yeah, yeah.
Cool, cool. But I'm like, no, it wasn't that. But yeah, it was in the back of my mind. I think, I continue because, I do finish everything I start. Even if I don't have a passion
Mm.
for it, I believe in finishing what you start. So
Okay, that's strong.
yeah, there was no way I was gonna quit college. But if I had, I wish I'd quit after my freshman year as opposed to after my junior year. Because you get those weird years where it's like you're not close to the end just yet, but you're also not near the beginning. Those were the sucky years.
So, okay, so what you just said is really interesting. Like you whatever you start, you're not gonna quit. How did you develop that mindset?
I can't say. And, I know that my mother, she worked, for the exact same job from 1993 until she retired in 2019. So same
Mm,
company, it's a CNA. She's a certified nurse assistant at a nursing home. So she would clean, elderly patients, uh,
tough
bathe them,
job.
feed them, whatever the case may be. Yeah,
Yeah.
very tough job. High level of turnover, right? So every single time I'd go up there and visit her, there was always a new group of people working with her, right? But she persevered. She never thought she was above it, and she felt that there was something ennobling, about the work, which I agree with, right? And I
Mm.
think that every job has a value, right? There is a certain level of nobility with work. And so that's why even with Burger King, I don't look back and say, I kind of squandered my life. There's a nobility that I went to work and, I earned my money honestly, right? I didn't,
Mhm.
steal it. I didn't rob anyone for it. It was just, hard work.
Hard work. Oh, and so okay, but still, so I guess it makes sense. Did growing up, like, did you ever try quitting something and you learned a lesson not to? And I'm curious because I feel like, especially nowadays,
Hmm.
it's so easy for everyone to just, or most of us just say, you know what? This is not for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try something else
Yeah.
without like really fully finishing it or seeing it through or even quitting halfway,
Yeah.
you know?
And I still think there's value in quitting, right? I think that there's a fine line between, seeing a project through, um, or just sticking out well beyond that time frame, right? And I mean that for jobs. I mean that for certain passion projects, for businesses people start. I mean, people do need to learn how to quit. And there's a book called I can't remember what it's called, but it's about failing fast, right? So if you go into a certain initiative, you want to fail as quickly as possible,
Mhm.
or fail as quickly as possible, but you need to be able to determine whether or not this is going to be successful within a short period of time so that you can kind of reassess. And I think that a lot of people just kind of overly invest in certain pursuits to the point where there's no return. It's
Mm.
just more so this is their lifelong passion project, and it has no opportunity, to ever sprout anything. But they just keep on.
Okay. Okay. So you go back to Burger King
Yep.
and then you get all these affirmations that maybe you should do something else. So what do
Mhm.
you do next?
So next, and I still look back and how happy I was. I'm working at Burger King for $6 an hour. And so I put in all sorts of applications, nothing's shaking. Going through staffing firms, applying directly to like Fortune 500 companies, big brand logos. And actually, the job that I get that kind of delivers me out of Sherman, Texas, out of Burger King, is a call center at Home Depot. So Home Depot had a call center in Addison, and it was paying $12 an hour. And it was
Mm.
like, whoa, that's double what I'm making right now.
Right.
Like, this is amazing, right? This is a
Mhm.
major come up.
Mhm.
I'm able to save money at $12 an hour. And so I actually went to live with my sister in Louisville, and I went to work at the Home Depot call center in Addison, which is really weird because, it's right down the street from where I work now. And I just drive by there some days. I'm like, man, like, this feels like an entire lifetime ago.
Wow. Okay. So how long are you at the call center for Home
So,
Depot?
I'm at the call center at Home Depot for 9 months. I started in August of 2006, and I actually got laid off. I got laid off in March of 2023. So, excuse me, March of 2023, March of 2007.
Okay.
So, yeah, I got laid off
Right
from that call
before the
center.
whole
Hmm.
boom.
Yeah, before
Okay.
the whole boom.
Okay. And so what do you do next? Are you still living at your sister's?
I'm still living with my sister, not
With your
at my
s-
sister. Okay, we're
oh,
we're
with your
hey, we're
sister.
both paying rent. We're
That's
both
right.
we're going half on all the bills. Like
That's right.
we're living
Apologize.
together. Yeah,
Yeah.
We're living together.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so 9 months and what do you learn the most? I mean, you moved from Sherman
Yeah.
here, it's 9 months, you get laid off, but what did you learn most within those 9 months?
One thing that actually sticks with me, all these years later, there was a director there at that call center, and I was talking about how I was uncertain about the recession, even in late 2006, and she just kind of looked at me and just kind of smiled. She said, even in a recession, there are people making money, right? You just have to position yourself to get it,
Mm.
and that actually stuck with me more than like anything else, that I learned during that time. Like I just thought it was such a insightful quote, and she just said it so matter of factly that I knew it to be true. People continue to make money even in recessions. And now that I've lived, 16, years after that, I know I've seen it to be the case, right? It's absolutely true.
Wow, okay, yeah, that's pretty impactful. So then what do you do next? They let you off and
They let me off, but they let me off, with one of the most generous, severance packages, I've seen. I'm in HR now, right? So I write severance packages. I help to structure severance packages. Looking back on that severance package, it was sweet. We got 2 months of severance.
Mm.
So I'm getting paid, every 2 weeks, and I can just sit there. But they actually gave us some transition time where we could have, other companies come out and we could interview. And so I actually got a job with Brinks Home Security, the old Brinks Home
Mm.
Security, before Monotronics, took over that brand name. And so,
Mhm.
I wasn't sure if I wanted to work, another job, but I'm just like, Brinks told me their pay schedule, and I'm thinking about how my severance payments are coming out. I'm like, I can get paid every week. And so I did. I started with Brinks Home Security as a was it a closer or a sales representative? So I was an inside sales representative.
Okay. And that how did you end up going into the HR department to be a recruiter?
Oh, that was a long circuitous route. So Brinks didn't work out well.
Oh, no?
We can cut to that one.
Okay.
That was a 5 month journey there at Brinks. I hated, selling security systems. For like as an inside salesperson, I hated it,
Okay.
hated it.
What did you hate most about it?
And I think you can even think about it, when you're in a call center and it's just that ding in your ear, right? You can't determine, when, the call is coming in. You
Mm.
can't, you don't know how to anticipate it. You're not prepared. You just have your script, right?
Mhm.
And then you have to ad lib after that. And, that lack of, awareness, right? And being on another, person's schedule, continuously, it's disarming, right? And so, plus, people are calling in, they have like all sorts of issues they're going through. And I have to go through all of my script just to get all this information from them before I can even quote them, right?
Yeah.
So,
Did you receive any good training, would you say?
the sales training at Brinks wasn't as good. The next job that I took at mattress firm, to this day, is probably some of the best sales training I've ever seen.
Mm.
Like when I structure sales training, when I think about how best to position sales professionals for success, mattress firm is almost the gold standard. Oh yeah,
Really?
oh yeah.
What is that? What does their process look like?
So I think with mattress firm, one of the major things is you have to be able to build rapport very quickly,
Mm.
right? So when someone comes into the store, one of the first things that they would teach you is, someone's name is golden. So you should try as hard as possible to say that person's name 3 times within the first minute. So it might be, oh, hello, Myra, pleasure to meet you. Oh, okay, you actually went to school with, someone named, Myra. Not really sure what happened to old Myra, but I hope she's doing well now, right?
Mm.
And by saying your name 3 times, I'm more likely to remember it. And people, like to hear their own name. Like it just, sets off this, psychological bell in our minds, right? So
Mhm.
we feel more connected when people say our name. So
Like they care, they're paying
they're
attention.
paying attention, right? So
Right.
there's an active investment,
Yes, yes, like they're listening.
right?
Yes, okay. Then what else? What else does their process look like for training?
Yeah, one of the
I'm
other things,
curious to know actually.
yeah, one of the things about selling mattresses is the fact that there were a lot more there was a lot more competition at that time, right? So you had Mattress Giant, you had Sleep Experts, Macy's was selling mattresses, a lot more, and there's been a lot of consolidation in that industry. But so at that time, the thought was if someone leaves your store, they're not coming back,
Mm.
right? And so you need to do whatever you can, to get that person to buy that mattress now. Because, if you write them up what we call a wood ticket, where you get their information and you can follow up with them, but they're not actually providing you with a credit card, that's nothing, right?
Mhm.
They're not coming back. You want to close them right then and there. So whatever you have to do, there's a high margin on mattresses anyway. So take it down, take the margin down to 40%, whatever the case may be. But you need to do what you need to do
Close it.
to close that person that day.
Mm.
Period.
So what are some of those tactics you
Um,
used or
yeah,
you used?
they're the same tactics that a lot of people do. Whether it's the car dealership or if you're buying some new equipment.
Because that's
Oh,
a hard thing to do,
yeah,
like, "Hey, give me your credit card number whatever
yeah.
mattress."
Yeah, so it's like, hey, you know what? If you stay right now, actually, let me go see if I can find another coupon, right?
Okay.
Because there's always another coupon. Let me go see. You know what?
Okay.
Well, let me
You
call my
incentivize
yeah,
them. You give them more value.
yeah.
Okay.
This coupon is this is, I can only use this today. I was supposed to use this for an order over 2,000, but I'm gonna go ahead and apply this for this $800 mattress purchase, right? Or let me call my manager, and so I'm calling my manager. But it's actually just somebody at the store down the street, right?
Okay.
And so they know, right? We all know because people would call me and say, "Hey, can I get approval on this
Okay.
mattress sale?" So you just call the stores, right? And it's really and truly whoever picks up, they're going to say yes or whatever the case may be, or
Okay.
they'll mess with you and say, "Yeah, kiss my butt," whatever. You know what I mean? So, but so hey, I got approval from my manager. We can do this if we're going to buy today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did how big was the store like as far as employees?
So I actually worked at different stores. I was a floater. So
Okay.
again, I was not a great mattress salesperson at all. No, because I'm not good at BS. And the major
Mm.
thing that bothered me was the person who haggled you the most, the biggest butthead, that you had to deal with, they were likely going to get the best deal, right?
Mm.
But that person who was very kind to you, very agreeable with everything you said, they were going to pay the most for that mattress, right? Because I mean, it's
Mhm.
not charity, so that morally always unsettled me. Like I'm giving this terrible human being a much
Mm.
better deal than I'm giving this very pleasant person.
I see. Okay, I can that just shows how big your heart is.
Well, it also shows that I mean, being real with people, like people make margin on your kindness sometimes, right? Like businesses are able to stay profitable off of certain people's kindness.
Mhm. Mhm. So you were a floater. So I'm actually kind of glad you say that because I'm sure you were able to see
Yeah,
different like peers you worked with.
yeah.
What were some of the qualities you saw that maybe people that had like higher sales versus people that had maybe less sales? What were some of the differences that you noticed?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and it was different qualities because, really and truly what you're doing when you say build rapport,
Mm.
learning someone's name, it's all about building trust, right? So it's the same thing that, you teach in leadership training, hey, build trust as quickly as possible. And you establish trust in different ways. So there was one guy, his name was Dan. He was a mattress nerd, right? So he could tell you all of the values of silver down to, how much a percentage increase and uh, like a percentage decrease in germs you'd have from having silver in a mattress, right?
Mm.
So he was a more of a subject matter expert.
Okay.
Whereas there were also, the very friendly types, who didn't talk about a mattress for the first 15 minutes someone was in the store, right? So they just say, hey, why don't you come lay on a bed? And they just sit there and have a conversation for 15 minutes and just talk about life. That was never my approach because I'm so impatient. And so I would always come back to the mattress. Yeah. Even though like you're in the store sometimes and you don't get another, person for like, 2 or 3 hours at times, right? You're just in there by yourself.
Right.
I was still impatient. I wanted to go back to my movie or whatever else I was doing, my book. So I'm like, hey, so this mattress, you gonna buy it? You ready to go get this deal? Let me call my manager. And I rushed the process a lot.
Mm.
But the people who were the most patient, irrespective of whether it was, the guy Dan who was, very much a subject matter expert, or the individuals who were much more relationship based and they built trust through just like opening up and being vulnerable, they took time with those relationships. And I was always so impatient because I was broke. I was broke again when I was at Mattress Firm. So I
Mhm.
needed the money bad. This is during the recession. So I needed the money. And
Okay.
the people knew I needed the money. It was on my face. So yeah.
Okay, so that how you said you weren't there very long, you said,
I
right?
was at Mattress Firm almost two
Oh,
years.
2 years.
How I
Sorry.
survived 2 years, I don't even know how I didn't get fired. I think just because I was a nice guy, I didn't get fired. But my sales did not qualify me to keep that job.
So how's your dating life at the time now that you moved
Yeah,
places, and I'm sure that's
yeah.
still kind of in the back of your mind?
It's horrible. Like I remember I was living in Addison, and I actually met a girl who was living in Arlington. And crazy enough, I was nervous about dating her because I didn't want to pay for gas to
Mm.
have to continually come out to Arlington. And now I look back on it, it's so funny. It's like, this is still in the Metroplex, right? But at that time,
At the time, it was a
I
waste.
can't drive to Arlington on a daily basis, twice a week. That's gonna kill me. Like gas was $4 a gallon at that point, and I'm making 25 grand a year, so I couldn't afford gas. So I mean, I couldn't even really date her. I was nervous. She lived too far away.
So it sounds like you were pretty mindful about like your budget and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Did you keep a budget? Did you have
yeah.
yeah, okay. How did you learn or where did you learn that from and
And I wouldn't even say I kept a budget. I would say more so I saved. Right. I mean, from
okay.
a very early age, no one taught it to me. I just kind
Mm,
of recognized that if I know I'm gonna get $1 every single week,
mm,
I know I can get more with $2 than I can with the $1. If I wait 4 weeks, I have more purchasing power with that $4 than with the $1,
mm.
and so on and so forth. So I saved money, throughout, my childhood.
Okay.
Like every time I had money, I would never spend all of my money from when I was a small child.
What were your dreams or long-term goals, would you say? Because you're saving. I
Yeah.
wonder if there's like anything that's driving you, even from an early
Mhm.
age.
I mean, I think from an early age, it was just about, whatever I wanted to buy, like whatever the nice things. So I was always in classes with very affluent kids.
Mm,
So the things that, they could just get, with a shrug of the shoulder, right? I was gonna have to save for it.
mm.
It was gonna have to scrimp and, kind of put things together, and I was gonna have to sacrifice.
Okay.
So like even at Christmas time, it wasn't, whatever I wanted. It was this or this gift. But it was
Okay.
never, hey, every single gift you want.
Okay. So I can definitely see the drive to wanting to
Yeah.
okay. Okay. So your love life at the time, your mattress firm?
Yeah, mattress firm.
Mattress firm for 2 years. And what happened to how did you cut off this Arlington girl?
Honestly, and
What did you tell her?
we're not Facebook friends. We stayed friends. So, but I couldn't date her officially
Yeah.
because, again, you live on the other side of town,
Right.
and she made more money than me. She was a school teacher. And so that's why for the longest time, when I'd hear teachers are underpaid, I'm thinking, the teachers that I know, they own houses, they have much more disposable income than I do. Like I'm broke and I'm working, 10 hours a day, no summers off. But she actually cheated, not cheated because we weren't dating. She actually she went to a Red Lobster and she started fooling around with the busboy at the Red Lobster. And at the time, I'm working at mattress firm, but I still feel like, man, you're gonna just mess around with the busboy at Red Lobster. That's kind of disappointing. So yeah,
Well, that was a good call. I'm glad she was away because
yeah.
are you guys on a date?
When we're there, no, we're not there at Red Lobster together, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
we weren't exclusively dating. We
But
were kind of yeah.
but you guys were you together
No, never
there?
officially.
No, no. But sorry, I meant like were you like talking? I guess I could say like.
Yeah, we were always just kinda talking,
But at Red Lobster, were you with her?
No, oh god,
No,
no.
no, no. I mean, like, were you guys like eating there, getting to know
No,
each other? No.
no,
Okay.
no,
So
no,
how
that would've
did
been
you
horrible.
know? How?
She told me.
Oh, she told you.
She told me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she told
Okay.
me.
So she's honest.
Yeah, she was honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought she did it while you guys were trying to have dinner together or
No,
something.
oh, no, that would've been
I
devastating.
know. Yes. Okay. I was
No.
clarifying.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, 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 that's funny.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's pretty good. She told she was honest.
Yeah, yeah, she was
Okay.
real.
All right. So then, mattress firm, and where did you go? Why did you leave mattress firm?
So, mattress firm, I got sent to the store of death, right? It was a store in Mesquite. So, there were 2 mattress firms in Mesquite. There was one really big store by Townie Small. I'm not sure if you know.
No.
Okay. So, Townie Small used to actually be buzzing, right? So, all the people from Forney and, Terrell, all the small towns outside of Dallas, they would come in and they would shop at Townie Small. And, they would go to that mattress firm. So that mattress firm was huge, but then there was the other, mattress firm in Mesquite. And that was where you go to die, right? So if you're the manager at that store, it gets low
Stop.
traffic. Yeah, man, it gets low traffic, maybe 1, 2 customers a day. So you have a lot of free time, but you still have a goal, right, to hit. And so if a customer comes in that store, you got to close them because you might not get another customer that day.
Okay.
And so I remember going out there and I was just so despondent and I'm just thinking, I'm gonna die here, right? I was eating like wolf chili for dinner, and I was like actually crunching up Doritos to add a little bit more flavor to my chili. Like I'm
Mhm.
down bad, and my savings are dwindling, and so a friend of mine had actually started working at Bank of America through Aerotech, a staffing firm, and she was making pretty good money, and so I'm thinking, maybe I'll apply for Bank of America. And, when I was going to reach out to her recruiter, she told me the recruiter's name. The recruiter's name is someone who had gone to Stephen F. Austin with me. We were in the same MBA program, right? She had worked at Mattress Firm also, because there were a
Mm.
lot of graduates from Mattress Firm. I mean, excuse me, a lot of the employees at Mattress Firm were Stephen F. Austin graduates.
Mm.
And she's now at Aerotech. And so she's like, I mean, yeah, you could go be, at Bank of America, but you can come here and you can be a recruiter. And so this is all happenstance, right?
Okay.
And so I know a lot of people don't, necessarily believe in fate, or higher power, but for me, that was, reassurance from God. Because here I am, thinking I'm gonna die, in this store in Mesquite. And honestly, just even driving out to that store in Mesquite, I thought I'm not gonna be able to afford the gas to continually get out there. And I get this golden opportunity to go become a recruiter with a staffing firm.
Wow.
So
And that's where that
that's where the trajectory started.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay, so then you jumped on it.
I jumped on it.
And so, how quickly were you able to transition to that job?
In terms of how quickly
Like
was I
time?
good?
No, 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 just like leaving the job and going into that one, was that an easy and quick decision
Oh,
or
yeah, without
fast?
question. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yo, yeah. Like, I didn't even give a 2-week notice at Mattress
Oh,
Firm. No. Well, because I kept being told that if you give a 2-week notice, they're not gonna pay you out for your notice
oh.
period. And so the standing thought was for a lot of people,
Mhm.
you lock up the store, you tell them you're not coming back the next day,
What?
and so that's what I did. I locked up the store, said, "Hey, look, I'm quitting," and I went and dropped my keys off at the big Mesquite store, and I'm out.
Well, it sounds like it wasn't anything new for them.
No, no, no. I mean, they'd gone through. They knew, and they knew when they put me out there what I was going through. Right? They
Mm.
know what it means when you go to Mesquite. It was
Oh,
just unspoken, and I
okay.
begged not to go to that store. I was like, please don't send me out there. Please let me go to another poor performing store that's closer
Yeah.
to my home. And they just kind of ignored me, and so they sent me out there to that bad Mesquite store. But that spurred me to go actually
Wow.
reach out for other jobs, and it was just the right time. Like
Yeah.
my
Fate,
my
like you said.
entire life has changed because of taking this job.
So so what are the first things that you have to learn as a recruiter? Or one of the first things to prepare you
Yeah.
for the job?
Funny enough, a lot of the sales skills that I learned at Mattress Firm transitioned to becoming a recruiter. Right, names are golden. Right. Um, when you want to discuss stuff and you want to like get through difficult negotiations, feel felt found. So hey, look, I understand how you feel. I felt that way also, and what I found is that uh, you have to close people. Like
Mm.
it's the same for recruiting as it is with sales. You have to close people. You have to make people make a very defined decision specifically in a timeline, right? So, we when we close someone as a recruiter, it's making sure that that pay for that location, for that job is the right job, and so um, it's almost the exact same conversation. It's the exact same energy,
Mm.
right? As a
Mhm.
sale, and a lot of the relationship and rapport building is the exact same because you're trying to get this person who does not know you, right? And also where you might not have a specialty, you're trying to get them to trust you that you know what's best for their career because it's someone's livelihood on the line.
That's right, that's right. So how I know now you're doing something different, but how
Yeah,
many years did you do recruiting?
and I still recruit from time to time now. But recruiting, specifically, I did recruiting for. I've done it since 2010, so I'll still say it's been 13 years.
Okay, so that's a good, like, long amount of time where I'm sure you have a lot of insight, especially
Yeah,
for people that are always seeking
yeah,
jobs. So for someone that's maybe like graduate in high school
hmm
or in college and getting ready to graduate and hit the workforce, um, what are some strategies to or some
mm.
effective ways to seek for jobs?
I think it goes back to even what we were saying earlier about college and what I learned. Your network is golden.
Mm.
I think that there's been some research somewhere between 40 to 60% of jobs are filled by referrals, right? So someone, knows someone and
Mm,
that person ends up getting the job
okay.
in most instances, right? And I think, I've seen it, whether it was at, Aerotech when I got my job, when I got my job at, electronics slash bring some security, my current job, it's all been based off of someone else being able to speak on my behalf.
So networking is
Networking is
key.
key. Like more so than knowing how to write a resume, more so knowing how to interview. I always implore people to, not only, expand your network, but to restore your network, right? So
Mm,
if you've been at odds with certain people, I always encourage people to, kind of reconcile because you never know which person you speak to, might be able to be a blessing for your life, and really change your life. So I always encourage people not to really hold grudges, to be very open, be very, loving, towards, everyone in their life, and you need to be able to inconvenience yourself for other people. If
mm.
you inconvenience yourself for people, people are more likely to inconvenience themselves for you.
Okay, so kinda give to receive kind of
Yeah.
is what it sounds like.
Yeah. And sometimes give with no expectancy of receiving in the future.
That's I think that's very important, but it feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like it's harder like nowadays. Like
Mm,
there's you know what I mean? Like I feel like maybe the thought a lot is like gimme, 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 and
right.
how can I get here? And some are trying to provide value, but then others maybe aren't. So as far as like when you are looking at candidates,
Hmm.
like what are some of the key things you look for in them,
Right.
to match them to whatever job search, like how do you fit those personalities?
I think that I hone very closely into being able to delineate, what you did as an individual, right? Like what were your individual contributions where you provided unique value? And it is easy to tell, right? People tell you, how they provided value. If they say we a lot, or I spoke with my manager and then this happened, or I work with my team on this. Yeah, I'm less likely, to feel that you're a strong individual contributor, right?
Mm.
But if you speak a lot about, what I specifically did, the path that you took and why it was the best reason. And you made that determination. And you show that, a lot of the thought leadership, came from you. If you show that, a lot of the innovation, came from you in that role. And, another person with similar experience would not have been able to come to the same outcome either as efficiently or with the same level of, growth or, profit, whatever the case may be. I'm more likely to move forward with
You spoke earlier about like resumes
you. Hmm.
and or you mentioned it, right? Because
Yeah.
it's obviously part of the process.
Yeah.
So for someone that has no idea how to tailor their resume,
Yeah.
or they just have, say, maybe a generic one,
Hmm.
but they're out there looking for jobs and they don't know how to tailor it.
Yeah.
What advice would you give these people?
Yeah, I mean, just take whatever, the verbiage is from the job description and you kind of match it into your resume. You have to connect dots, right? People don't realize that a lot of times the first person to review your resume, it's not, some artificial intelligence, right? It's not some bot. It's a human recruiter, right? Or a human sourcer who's looking at that resume. And the issue with that is for you as a job seeker, that individual more than likely has no specialty in the role you're applying for, right? Unless you're applying for a recruiter role. That person,
Mm,
but if it's finance, accounting, you're an engineer or in sales, more than likely that recruiter has no experience in that particular trade. So
mhm.
you have to be able to connect the dots, for that recruiter to make them feel more confident that you're a fit for the role. And the easiest way to do that is to look at the job description or job advertisement, look at some of the keywords and put those keywords in your resume. And it's not, to match up with a bot. It's on a human level to ensure that, that person who's looking at that resume feels confident you're the right fit.
That is great advice. Matching, so basically kind of looking at the job description,
Hmm.
look at some of the
Yep.
keywords and try to fit them in with their history, with their
Without question.
experience.
Without question.
Okay. What are some of the most of the common mistakes you see people make in
Mm.
both in resumes or during interviews?
I think one of the most common mistakes people make, during resumes, I mean, with creating a resume is, trying to go and be overly artsy,
Mm,
right? Like, adding in, these wild, backgrounds and, doing, too much. And for certain roles, like if you're a graphic designer or something to that effect,
mm,
sometimes, it works well for you to show your artistic ability, but you really truly want to hone in on your technical skills, right?
mm.
And whether it's, certain, Excel, whether it's PowerPoint, whether it's a certain, coding software, whatever the case may be, and showing how you use that, software, that skill in various roles,
Mm,
right? So just putting it at the top of your resume in a summary of skills and then not mentioning it anywhere else in your
mm.
resume, huge mistake, right?
Okay.
Because people want to be able, again, you're connecting dots. And so I
Right.
want to be able to show this recruiter and eventually this hiring manager that I've used this in an actual role. I'm not just putting it at the top of my resume. Um, During an interview, again, I think the major mistake most people make, they get too comfortable, right?
Mm,
Most interviews for most companies, when people are well trained in interviews and they know what they're doing, I want you to be comfortable. I want you to be transparent for the good and the bad, right? I want you to be transparent so that you can feel comfortable and your skills that align with the role show up. But I also want you to be transparent so that some of your bad tendencies, some of your quirks, they show up also.
mm.
So the more comfortable you feel, the more likely you are going to be exposed to something that is going to let you get disqualified. So always tell people, yeah, you want to be personable during an interview, but again, it's an interview. This person who's interviewing you, they're not your friend, right? And don't get that comfortable.
Okay, yeah, it's the that first
Yeah,
interaction that where yeah, that makes that I can't. So, have you had any, like, crazy experiences with people do get too comfortable?
without question. I actually remember one instance at Monotronic slash Bring Some Security. There was a candidate who was interviewing for like a sales role, right? So the responsibility of this team was to retain customers with money. And we had a scenario where she was supposed to sell a phone. But during the course of the interview, the interviewer told her, I really don't think that you know too much about these phones. Oh no, yeah, I do. My whole family got these phones. You can call my cousin. Like, whoa. And I was just embarrassed. I set that person up for an interview. And it's like she just felt too comfortable because the interviewer made her feel comfortable. They had some small talk. They had come from the same area, whatever the case may be. But at the end of
Okay.
the day, even with all these similarities, a similar background,
There's still a job to be made
yeah,
to get done.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're trying to fill a role, and they need to feel
Okay.
comfortable that you're not gonna, go left on customers, and
Yeah.
you just went left a little bit during the interview, so
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. That makes sense. I see that. Okay. So if I'm trying to be a recruiter, if that's what I'm aspiring to be, what advice would you give me? Or some of the
Mm.
qualities that someone should have to be a great recruiter?
Gotta have persistence. You cannot. I mean, it's just like sales again. One no, can't get you disarmed. You need to be able to hustle. Like
Mm,
it is a numbers game. The more people you talk to, the more likely you are to find someone who's going to match up with whatever skill set it is you're recruiting for. Right. So you have to be persistent. You have to be able to withstand no, persevere. You have to be able to build a rapport.
mm,
Right. So again, like even on the phone when I'm recruiting, I'm sourcing people, yeah, I want them to feel comfortable with me because I want you to share, your good and your bad, so that I can make a very objective decision on whether or not you're going to be a fit for my firm, right?
mhm.
And so I think that you need to be able to build rapport, probe, ask questions, not be presumptive. The probing for recruiting is very similar to the probing for sales.
Okay, that's interesting.
Oh yeah,
So as being a leader yourself now, even coaching or
yeah.
empowering other leaders, what do you see that are strong, um, I guess, qualities, or what do you see that strong leaders have? Like what character traits do
Mm.
strong leaders have that you can see?
The strongest leaders that I've seen, yeah, they have ability to build a rapport with anyone also, right? So, um, we look at leadership and we kind of provided like frameworks.
Mhm.
There's leadership where you're able to get a certain result. There's leaderships where you're able to, motivate people, but inspirational leadership or transformational leadership, it's all about being able to inspire someone to change themselves, right?
Mm.
More so than just, accomplishing a feat. or completing a simple task or changing their opinion, can I get you to change yourself, right? Can I show you through my role modeling of certain values, through my work ethic and how you see me,
Ooh,
operating, that you can accomplish more in your life, right? That's the
okay.
great leaders I know.
Yeah.
They all are able to inspire other people.
Ooh, I think I just got the chills on
Oh
that
yeah, I
because
got it too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that completely. So for during every episode,
Mhm.
we finish with one last question, and that is, what is your personal definition of happiness?
Ooh, wow, that is very deep. Hmm,
Personal,
personal
yeah.
definition of happiness.
Hmm.
For me, happiness is contentment, right? With whatever state I'm in, just being content, right?
Hmm.
So whatever I have or don't have in the bank, I have a wife and a daughter now, so their happiness, and their contentment, that's really and truly where happiness is for me, right? Like just being comfortable. I don't want to have the biggest house. I don't necessarily need the most of my bank. I don't need to go on the most luxurious trips, but just being, comfortable with the people in my space, and the people in my space being happy. I mean, that's happiness for me.
I love that. I love that. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for your
No, thank
time.
you.
Thank you for being here. I think
Absolutely.
you've provided great insight, and it was a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Alrighty. Goodbye, everyone.